Thanks for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got a 6-year-old affiliate site for sale in the household niche and monetized via Amazon, Commission Junction, and Share a Sale. The site makes just over $3.5K per month in net profit, and the listing number on this one is 40437. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business, cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Hi, Justin. How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Good, man. Let's do a quick summary of the business before we even get into this. It was built in December 2009. The monthly revenue on this one is $3,590 a month. That's a 6-month average. You got expenses of $30 a month, and the net profit is $3,560 a month. Again, that's a 6-month average. It's got a clean backlink profile. You're including all the social media accounts, and there is a MailChimp account included. You've got a little over 100 emails in there, but you haven't done anything with them. Does that sound about right?
That's perfect. Yep, sounds right.
Cool, man. Let's get started by doing a kind of a brief introduction about you and your history. Can you tell us a little bit about your background in like building and running websites and online businesses?
Sure, Justin. So I got started on this whole adventure of internet businesses just over a year ago. So fairly new to the whole internet marketplace, and I actually didn't even know that there were internet businesses for sale until I ran into you guys, and actually started looking at your listings, and I'm like, this might be a cool way to supplement some income on the side, because I do have a full-time job currently. And so I did buy this site actually around a year and a half ago, or actually probably a year and 3 months ago from you guys, and spent time growing it, and actually, has done a great job over the last year. And it's done really well, especially in the last holiday season that just passed. It did really, really well, and it surpassed my expectations. So that's just a little bit background on how I got into buying this site, and a little bit background about myself.
So 1.5 years ownership of the site. Have you been originally paid back for your original investment yet, or are you still short there a bit?
I'm actually just made the original investment back this month.
Awesome. So in the sale of this business, it'll be pure profit over the last 1.5 years or so that you've owned it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome, man. So that's a really good return. I'm really excited for you. I think that's awesome. We'd love to have, obviously, buyers come back and sell through us. We make more money, number one, but it's also amazing to see kind of like the evolution of sites, right? And like how they've kind of improved and how they've kind of, adapted and evolved. So I think that's great. Let's talk about how the site makes money. It has affiliates, obviously, Amazon affiliate. It has Share a Sale, and I think Commission Junction. Like, what's the breakdown there? Like, does one make more than the other? Does one make the bulk of the earnings? How does that work?
Yeah, so great question. So I would say Amazon and CJ are probably around the same when you average them out. And then Share a Sale is a very small portion of the earnings compared to Amazon and CJ.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is in the household niche. When you were looking to buy a site, was it the niche that interests you? Was it the earnings and kind of profile of the site? Like, what attracted you to buy this site in particular?
Yeah, so really, as I mentioned earlier, I was totally new to buying this, and one of the things I wanted to steer clear of, and I'm not sure whether it's a concern to other buyers or not. At least it was for me at that particular time. Was wanted to have a very clean website, that has not done anything crazy to get traffic. And that's kind of what I did. I did obviously some research in this, and wanted clean backlink profiles, and basically a site that's getting traffic organically. Because I knew that if that was the case, that I would be able to build on it or add things, and a general Google update shouldn't hurt me in terms of their search algorithm and things like that. So that was my first thing. Wanted to get a clean site that was built on solid foundation. And then the second piece was, in general, the product that I'm reviewing is a very high value product, and it is a necessity product, and it's something that you will need. Everybody pretty much needs it, and I thought that it would be a nice way to get into this marketplace and make some money on the side, and learn about this whole internet business thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I was telling you before the show, and I won't mention the exact niche, but I was telling you this before the show. I was like, "Ooh, I like those." That's actually interesting.
Right. Yeah, it is actually, and it's funny, when you sign up for things like this and you buy them, you actually learn so much about this type of products that you're like, huh, I would have never thought that I would know this much about a product like that. So I've actually learned a lot in the process, and I actually consider myself, as one of the, I wouldn't say experts, but one of the people who know better things about this product than, larger population.
Yeah, your friends come and ask you questions. You're like, "Oh, you might want to take a look at this one or that one." Yeah, that's funny.
Exactly.
All right,
Right.
man. So let's talk a little bit about why you're selling the site. I mean, you just said that you bought it about 18 months ago. You're almost paid back. Like, why sell it? Why not just keep it and continue growing it out?
Yeah, so great question on that as well. Now, as I mentioned to you, when I started this, it was just really a way for me to supplement income, my full-time job. And, this is something that, I have learned. Affiliate marketing was, one of the check boxes that I'm like, okay, I should definitely learn that. Is one of the oldest ways to kind of make money online. And, I think I've checked that box at this point. Now that I've actually got experience in affiliate marketing and I know the upside and the downside, I've actually got different ideas on how I can make money, online. And the idea is mostly on the e-commerce side. So I'm really interested in the e-commerce side than on the affiliate marketing side. And my idea is to really, get products from, another country that I'm interested in and, specific product line that I'm interested in and sell here in the U.S. So that's the goal and idea at this point, and it's certainly something that I will need some extra cash, and I would like not to drain from my savings. I'd like to use the sales for this site and put it into my next project.
So you put in money into this kind of like online business kind of model, I guess we could say, and you're looking to basically just keep rolling that up. And your idea is to focus on e-commerce. It's interesting. Affiliate sites they're relatively straightforward. They're pretty basic, and I think they're really good for someone that's new. But it's not surprising to me that you're like, I want to get into something where I can like touch and feel a product, right? You're like, I want something like physical that I can ship to customers. Now, there's a whole lot of hassle that comes with that. I'd have to say, like, there's additional
Right.
layers of difficulty, but it sounds like you're looking forward to the challenge a bit, right? Like, it sounds like something you're interested in
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah, definitely. And it's at least the way I'm seeing it, it's much more scalable than in the affiliate marketing world. I know there are obviously a lot of affiliate sites that do, huge amounts of revenue, and some of my competitive sites are in that side, huge, affiliate commissions every year, every month, and it's not something at this point that I think my time is well dedicated to. So that's kind of why I'm looking into e-commerce.
Gotcha. So the plan for the cash new sell, I always ask this question. I was wondering, you're planning to roll that into the e-commerce business? Are you gonna take the money invested elsewhere? Are you gonna take a trip to Tahiti? Like, what do you plan to do?
Yeah, so essentially, the e-commerce product that I'm planning to sell is a high value item. So maybe it's the sales that I'm going to get from the site or this, the sale price essentially will be used to at least start getting an initial inventory and then the initial setup costs and, getting my website fully polished and things like that. So really just to set up the business without using my personal dollars, because like I said, I've paid for my initial investment. Now my goal is to use this, these sale dollars coming in from the sale of this website and to putting into my e-commerce business.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about when the site was built. It was built quite a while back in December 2009. When did you actually buy the site?
So I bought it in Q4 of 2014.
And was it like an immediate winner? Like the month you took it over, did it do at or better than expected, or did you see a dip for a bit? Like, how did that kind of work?
Yeah, so when I took over the site was doing okay from, a monthly net income standpoint. It had done like it kind of had grew to a certain point and then it kind of dropped and and then it kind of come a little bit up and that's kind of where I bought it. And I would say as soon as I bought it, it actually started doing much better. I think it was really it was really because of the time of the year when I bought it. So I think that helped me. And without giving too much details, the weather certainly helped. So I think, people can kind of make some judgments on what that might be. Obviously, the weather helped my site and in general, my, sales during the first few months.
Yep. So talking about that, like there is some seasonality to your business. I don't think it's not a Christmas product. You know what I mean? Like it is, the
No.
people would buy it at Christmas, but it's not like specifically around a particular couple of months. It is a year round seller, but there are months that it does better than other months. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. And I was actually surprised, in the months that I was thinking it was going to be fairly low sales, the sales were fairly high actually, and I was like, "What? People are buying this right now?"
Yeah.
And that was actually very encouraging to me. And I think it's because, and again, as I learn more about the products, I am understanding that, these products can be used year round, and there's actually some people who buy this a one type of product for a one season and another type of product for another season. So
Yeah.
so it kind of makes sense after you actually dig into it a little bit more.
Was there anything after buying this site that you tested through or that you tried out that just seemed to work, that was just kind of a win for you that you'll be able to apply to future businesses?
I think one thing is expanding into adjacencies, and that's one thing that has really worked well. So there is, this is a particular product that I'm reviewing, and then I expanded into an adjacent product, and immediately I get started getting questions about that product, and I put it right on the front and center page of that this is also a product that I'm starting to review. So I learned a lot about that particular product, adjacent product as well. And I think when you have the people already on your site trying to buy that product, and they're most likely going to be looking for a product that is in the same category as well, or at least they might be interested in knowing more about them. They might not need it at that particular time, but they might need it in 6 months from then, or 12 months, whatever that time frame is. So, I would say that's something that I'm going to certainly take away with me. Let's just say if I'm in the jewelry market, if I'm selling, wedding bands or something like that, I think, starting to sell other wedding jewelry type of products is a no-brainer, for example. And
Yeah.
that's something that I'm going to learn.
If you're selling couches, you might want to consider, like let's say you're doing trendy couches, you might want to do bean bags. You might want to do coffee
Yeah,
tables or something like that. Like add on something that your current customer base may have a need for too. They may be looking to spend money on this other thing that they're going to buy from someone else. They might as well just buy from you.
sure. Yep, exactly.
Cool. Did you try anything with this site that didn't work? Was there anything that you tested that just kind of failed miserably?
I don't think that it was really something I tried failed miserably, but I certainly failed. And that was with regards to trying to get more merchants to that I could promote. Now you would think that merchants are kind of willing to get more people who will promote their stuff, and there would not be a much high bar to go over there. But there are some merchants who are very specific about who their affiliates are, and there were some products I'm like, oh my God, this is a great product, would be a great one on addition for my site. And I did so much research on them, and I'm like, oh yeah, now I wrote some articles on them, and then I'm like, okay, I just need to get them to approve me as an affiliate, and then I actually get through the application and they don't approve me, and they're saying they're just not accepting affiliates at this point, and or they give a reason like that, or it's just a standard email that they send to all affiliates
Yeah.
regardless of what. Yeah, so that was something that I kind of learned to do early on, as opposed to put in all the work and then go and do the application. I just kind of assumed that everybody wanted to have people who would promote them.
So that's a good bit of info. So if you're planning to use an affiliate, don't just count on that. Reach out to them, ask them, verify that you'll be able to use them before you go through the hassle of writing content and trying to target your site to meet their keywords or to match the keywords and get ranked for them. And don't go through all that hassle before you got them in the bag in terms of being able to sell their products.
Right, exactly.
I actually understand where they're coming from a bit. Like if you have affiliates, you want them to be careful in how their products are represented, right? Like think about that. Like you've got a product and you don't want people just out there, saying whatever about your product to get customers through the
Right.
door. And so having some like affiliate control, I understand, but Yeah, that's too bad, man. Because I know the site, like I think it's not a bad, it's not like this, horrible spammy site or something that they wouldn't be proud of. But yeah, I don't know, maybe a little too
Right.
careful.
Yeah, no, I think also the brands that I was targeting are probably much higher end as well.
Mm,
So I think that had to play something into it as well.
gotcha. Let's talk about the traffic and earnings a little bit. What percentage of the traffic right now is organic, and do you get anything other than organic traffic right now?
I would say most of the traffic at this point is organic, essentially. There is some, I did set up a Facebook account, there's Pinterest, and there is Twitter, but very minimal actual traffic coming from there, I would say. Mostly organic.
You don't do much with the social media accounts right now, is that right?
Correct, I don't.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about like the earnings history. You said when you bought it, then it was the time of year, but it started doing much better. Did you have any dips in earnings or did it just kind of climb from there? Like what was that like since purchasing it?
Yeah, so for the first, I would say 2 to 3 months after I bought it, the earnings actually went up from what I had expected, and then they kind of leveling off and then dropping. And as soon as the other part of the year hit, again they started, increasing. And during this past season, it was crazy. I was shocked. Every day I would open my affiliate accounts and I'm like, what? People are buying this much of this product,
Yeah.
and maybe I started like, maybe I should get into this, selling this product directly. So yeah,
Yeah, it's
so that's
interesting.
essentially, how it went. So there's it went high up first and then did probably 10-15% and then went back up.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the kind of history here on the listings. We've got it all kind of labeled and graphed for you. So yeah, you can see that it did extremely well through the holidays, and so you're definitely riding off a high, which is cool. Talk to me a little bit about the types of sales that you're getting, like through Amazon, for example. So is it like 50% of the product that you're promoting? Is it like people are buying 80% of that or 20% of that? They're buying other products. Like, how's that work?
So you're asking whether the Amazon, income that I'm getting is mostly from the products I refer, and what the breakdown is between the product I refer and the other stuff that people buy on Amazon.
Yeah, for anyone listening to this that's confused by what I asked or whatever, or what you just said, when people go, you have affiliate links that go over to Amazon. People can go and buy the products that you're promoting on your site, and that's in a very specific niche. But they can buy anything else. So they go over and buy a watch, or they go over and buy shoes, or whatever they buy from Amazon during a certain period of time. You're going to get a commission from that, right? So you're going to get an affiliate on anything bought on Amazon during that period. So I guess my question is, are people buying mostly the product you're promoting, or is it like half that product and half add-on or different products?
Yeah, so it is actually. So I did actually look into this because I was in myself in question. So it's like 6 months, and I started doing, Control F and started doing searches for my product names, and just kind of looking at how much those are, and it was a long process. It took me a few hours to understand it, but it was surprisingly. I thought there would be much more other products that would be actually being sold because I always see them, but those other products are very small in amount
Hmm.
compared to the product that so when you actually look at the actual number of orders, I would probably say they're probably 50-50, but when you look at the actual sales, it's closer to like 90-10. I mean,
Oh,
it's a really big difference.
wow.
So there's always a lot of different products that are being bought, but they're much smaller in value than the actual. So
Yeah.
like if they bought one of my links, they clicked on one of my links and bought one of the products that I referred them to, and they bought like 10 other products, they would still be much lower in value than the
Gotcha.
product that
So
I referred.
so they might buy 10 other products that are like $3 each or something, and yours was, grand or whatever. So it's like way
Right.
outweighing the rest. Okay. Gotcha. And as an affiliate, is that something you would do again? Would you target the higher value items? Does that seem to make more sense for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, the content is going to cost what it's going to cost, right? And, usually that doesn't change too much. So if you're in the affiliate world, I would go for the more expensive stuff, is what I've learned in the last, year and a half or so. and that way you can, sale that, the Amazon or CJ, whoever ends up making, because, you referred them, it's a significant chunk that you get every single time that sale is made.
Are there any problems with share sale, or more importantly, probably the commission junction affiliates you're currently using? Have they said they're going to stop? Are they changing the deal or anything like that? Are there no changes as far as you know?
No changes as far as I know. They've been really, really good. And actually, the CJ, merchant that I'm working with is a very, very good merchant to work with. I talked to their affiliate manager, person, very nice to work with. So I don't see anything changing from that perspective. They really respect the site, and we put a lot of sales through our site. I would send them their way, send customers their way, and they really appreciate that.
Cool. What percentage are you at with your Amazon earnings on this product? Well, your
Usually
Amazon
it's
account
between,
overall.
yeah, so it's between 7 and 7.5%. I think I've probably made it to 8% in 2 months. Like, I think it was November and December of last year.
Mm. Do you have any other Amazon affiliate sites that are getting you to that, or is that this site only?
Just this site only.
Okay, cool. So that gives people a pretty good idea on where they should be at. I think if they already have a site that's, has a bunch of other sales elsewhere, they'll be, maybe automatically at those higher tiers, or they'll be at those higher tiers in kind of the leaner months too, which might be of interest to a buyer.
True.
Cool. Okay, so let's talk about some opportunities. What would you do if you were keeping the site? If you couldn't sell it or change your mind, didn't want to sell it, what would you do over the next 6 months, 12 months to keep the site and continue growing it out?
Sure. So what I would do is really focus on getting, new merchants. And I think that is something where it's really going to pan out in the long run for this site. So actually, I give a quick example. I found this relatively new startup company in the same niche that I am in, and they have just a really unique way to sell their product. And I actually went ahead and ordered some of their product, and I've been using it for a few months now, and I love it. I really, really do. And I've just started, getting some help with writing the content on this. And, I think, and there's ridiculous. I mean, I've never seen a commission this high, actually, but they're doing it. I think they're just kind of trying to get started and, promote it as, but I'm willing to share this with a potential buyer. But that's the kind of merchants you want to look for and start promoting on your website. Because one thing, you'll be diversifying your revenue, and number two, like I said earlier, you can be providing them a product that's in the same niche, and it's going to be an adjacent product, and so they might buy that primary stuff that you're already providing reviews for, and they'll come and buy the secondary stuff. And usually they actually, I have this option of people emailing me for any questions they have, like, I bought this, what do you think about this? Or, how would I care for it? What's the instructions for care and things like that. And, I've been able to, combine and just kind of understand what those instructions of care, based on the recommendations of the industry leaders. So anyway, so I would actually be able to recommend in email and site, right? Those, I work on putting those, on the site in terms of content, additional content. So, get more merchants and, really focus on, targeting a content that is related to an adjacent product.
So, it's one of the interesting things about your site I saw is that you are particularly asking people on the site, hey, do you have any questions about this product? Please reach out to me. And so that's a little different than most affiliates. I thought that was kind of interesting. And that you're saying, if you have any questions at all about matching this and that, or any questions about the types of product you should look at, or anything, here's the contact form. Reach out to me, ask me questions. And that's, well, not just a little different. It's way different than most affiliates out there are offering. Like, you're saying, contact me. Most affiliates are shy from that, which I thought was interesting. It's an interesting approach. I'm going to ask you about that a little bit when we talk about the work required on the site. I'd like to know, is that, just dumping work on you, or is it pretty reasonable? But before I do that, I want to get back to the content that you have on the site. Like, how much content, how many pages of content are on there now? And then how many pieces of content need to be added to maintain the business as is?
So you got me on the question on how many pages there are now. I actually have never calculated that. I think probably if I'm thinking about the WordPress account and thinking about the pages, it's probably close to 80 pages or something like that. But you don't
I'm not
quote me on
sure.
that
Yeah.
number. I can
Okay.
get back to you.
Yep.
And then with regards to what needs to be done, I really think if the site sales and earnings were to be kept at this level or increase, month over month by, like 5% or, 2-3% per month, overall, 10-20% increase over the year, you probably won't spend, add at least one merchant every 6 months and really make sure you do good research on that merchant. Obviously, get accepted first before you do all that research,
Yep.
and then write content around their product. And I would say probably in the order of 2 or 3 articles every quarter would be more than sufficient.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of how I've actually done less number of articles over the last year, but that was more because I wanted to understand how the website would do without me doing anything. And then I was doing just kind of experimenting on different things. But over the last quarter, I've definitely added, 3 articles. I mean, I recommend to do around 2 to 3 articles per.
Gotcha. So every 6 months or so, you're going to want to research and add a new product, a new vendor, something that's related that the buyers are already buying, just give them an opportunity to buy through you. And then every quarter, you may add 2 to 3 new pieces of content, probably around that new product you just added, and then maybe the next quarter will be around some others that you already have that just kind of reinforces products you already have. Talk
The
about
base business, yeah.
what's new that year or whatever. Okay. Cool. We've talked a little bit about opportunities in terms of like what you would do to grow it out. I think adding the new products every 6 months makes sense. Adding the new content makes sense. Let's talk about risks from the buyer's perspective. So, I mean, the big one that's always present, right, with any kind of organic site is a change in Google ranking. Right. So if the site were to get penalized by Google or were to drop in the rankings via Google, that would be a major hit because most of the traffic is organic. So that's the biggest risk I see that's always present with organic sites. Can you talk to me about any other risks you see and then why that risk is either worrisome or not worrisome from your perspective on this site?
Yeah, so good question. With regards to the organic risk, I think it's fairly minimum because this site was built on a fairly solid foundation. That's kind of why I bought the site in the first place. The risk that I see actually, Justin, is this site has 3 pretty much main income streams, and out of the 3, the 2, CJ and Amazon, are like 95% of the income stream, and share sale is 5%. So I like to diversify, and that's kind of why I mentioned that we should add a few products every year. And I would definitely say that one of the risks is, for whatever reasons, what the company, like for that I represent through CJ, decides to change their affiliate program or decides to not have affiliates or something like that. That's a pretty big income stream that would just kind of disappear one day.
Yeah.
But that's true for anything. Like if Amazon decided to get rid of their associates program, because that was one of the research I did, is like, would Amazon ever do that, or would they change things on us? And it's a pretty low risk, but it is there. And if you're part of it, if you're in that mode, then you'll be like, I should have set up more, diversification here.
Yeah, the Amazon issue would be crushing, right? That would be crushing for a hell of a lot of people. The one that concerns me a bit, I guess, is not commission junction overall. I mean, commission junction, again, I don't think commission junction is going to go anywhere. But the way they run it is through like individual vendors and their affiliate program. So that's where you can have issue. Yeah. Is where like the vendor changes the deal. So they go, oh, instead of giving you 15%, I'm going to make it 3%. Or, or making it better too. They could even give a better option if they want to get more affiliate sales. So they can change, and they change a bit more rapidly than Amazon, for example. So Yeah, I agree with you. Staying on top of the different affiliates, making sure you have other options in terms of diversity, I think is helpful. Yeah, and I've actually seen them make the change on Commission Junction. It's gone our way and gone not our way. So we've had it happen both ways,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Tell me a
absolutely.
bit about the work required. We already got into it a bit. You said every 6 months you'd add a new vendor, probably a new product, and every quarter so you'd add 2 to 3 articles. What else do you do? I mentioned earlier that you're very open with visitors actually contacting you and asking you questions and that kind of thing. How much does that actually, do people actually use it, or is it just kind of a nice friendly piece you put up there that never actually gets used? How does that work?
So I think it's a little bit of both. It definitely shows that, the person who owns the site is very personable and is able to answer questions and is detail oriented and things like that. So when people see that, immediately they're like, I can trust this site. I can, trust people to be coming here and actually, taking recommendations and buying stuff from there. So, many times I would actually get an email just saying, oh my God, I just got actually an email couple of days ago from a lady in Russia saying, "Oh my God, this is the best site I've ever
Hmm.
seen, and we need these products so much, and I actually followed your recommendations and can't wait for my product and things like that." So they're saying good things about the website. I do get certainly questions about, hey, I live in Southern California and I need it all year round this thing, and what will it look like, and this is my budget. What are your best choices? And this is when I would go in and I would say, okay, here are your choices, and I'll give them affiliate links, and I would answer the question, and sign off. And now in terms of how many I get, I would say probably one a week
Okay.
in the busy times, and then in the non-busy times it's like once every 2 weeks or once a month even.
So that's not too much. I mean, I could really have like a VA or something do that on the side. It's not like I'm getting 10 a day.
Oh no, not at all.
Okay. All right. So it's interesting that you do that though, that you're so like out there saying, "Hey, ask me questions and I can do some compare and contrast on different products for you." There's another site that we have listed that does something similar that I've actually been a user of. I've been a visitor to and found value in the content. It helped me make a buying decision. And this is before we were selling or whatever. So it's really interesting. I thought that piece was really helpful. Like I didn't even
Right.
use it, but I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. Like I know it's there, and it made me feel like comforted as a visitor that, oh, this person's like can help me purchase. Like, so I get why you do that. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay,
So
so one a week, maybe on the high in the busy season, one every 2 weeks or so. What other kind of work do you do on the site? Do you do anything else, or are you just kind of checking earnings and that kind of thing?
yeah, I think, checking earnings, one would think that, okay, I don't need to really check my earnings every day, but, it's really, really me from losing on commission dollars. Sometimes, it's again, since I'm very new to this whole thing, my domain folks were trying to get in touch with me, but they were sending it to the person's email that was previously owning the site. So my domain was shut down for, a day, and I'm like, why didn't I see any sales? And then I can also see how many clicks there are coming through, and I'm just like, 0 clicks? That doesn't make any sense. I go to
Yeah.
my site and I'm like, wait a moment, why is this not working? So I actually check my earnings every day, and I've done that for the last 390 days or whatever days I've owned something every single day, because that's how, because it's easily on like $100 of earnings on the day if you don't do that. So I
Yeah,
would say that's the only other thing that I do in terms of making sure that the site is running smoothly.
checking your earnings every day can be a bad habit too, because you're like, what am I doing? I just keep checking this. But as you mentioned, like it's important, right? If your site goes down or there's any problems or whatever, if you check it at least once a day, you're gonna be up on that. You're like, oh, there's no clicks, there's no earnings, there must be something wrong. Let me hop in there and fix it. And so staying on top of it
Right.
does seem to make sense. Can we talk a little bit about some additional questions buyers may have? I mean, one of the ones I'd ask is, I would want to make sure that you don't immediately turn around and build a competing site after I buy the site. So, as a buyer, I want to know whether you're willing to commit to a non compete. Would you be willing to sign a non compete for this particular individual niche?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Not looking to get into this niche, anytime soon.
all right. And then,
Uh, yeah.
the other thing I'd want to know is there's not a ton of support anything that's necessary. This is an affiliate site. It's pretty straightforward. But if I'm unfamiliar with the affiliates, or maybe I'm a new buyer and I need a little more hand holding, you put on the listing that you're willing to do 30 days of email support and you're willing to jump on a few phone calls with me. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm more than happy. I just went this whole thing myself 13, 14, 15 months ago, and I know how it feels. I had questions at every step of the way. One, obviously, your team was very helpful. The migration team was very helpful, but the past owner was also, and I would love to be a helpful seller, along the process.
It's so cool to see you on the other side of the fence, man. You were a new buyer, kind of getting help through and guided through. Now you're like, I know this stuff. Here you go. Here's how you do it. You turn into a pro of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so
It feels good.
one of the questions I may have as a buyer too is, are you open to a split or earn out? Sometimes we do get offers like this. They say, look, I want to do 70% up front and I'll do 30% after 30 days of training, or I want to do 80% up front, but I'd like to pay 5% a month for the next 4 months based on certain tiers. Obviously, 100% offer cash would be ideal, but are you open to a split or earn out?
So, what I would say that is, this is a fairly solid site, solid income, solid earnings. Unless there was a, major issue that came up with the site, right after I turned it over, from a ranking standpoint or something like that, it's a straightforward site, I would say. So, I would look at it on a case-to-case basis, but I'm not really willing to just kind of take on that right off the bat.
Cool. Okay. Let's do a wrap up on this business. Again, it's in the household niche. It's an Amazon commission junction share sale with the bulk of the earnings coming from the Amazon affiliate program and the Commission Junction affiliate program. It was built in December 2009. You took it over about 18-ish months ago because you bought it off our marketplace. The monthly revenue on this one, $3,590 a month. That's a 6-month average. Expenses of $30 a month. Net profit, $3,560 a month. Again, a 6-month average. It's got a clean backlink profile. The MailChimp account is included. It's got about 120-ish emails associated and the social media accounts. If you could give me, what is your best pitch over the next 30 seconds or so on why you think someone should purchase this site?
Sure, Justin. So, this website I've mentioned a couple of times is a fairly solid foundation, clean backlink profile, as you mentioned. I don't think there's any worry here from a Google update kind of, bringing down the earnings or, the rankings of this website. So that is fairly clear. If there is, an affiliate marketer out there who is fairly experienced, know how to, exploit is a bad word, but just to explore, detail on, email lists, the social media accounts. I have all that. I've really not looked into that in detail. This is an ideal site, solid income earner, and certainly something that you can do on the side while having a, full-time gig. So.
Awesome, man. For anyone listening to this that has any questions about this listing, again, the listing number is 40437. If you're on YouTube or whatever, there is a link in the show notes that will take you over to empireflippers.com and take you to the actual listing where you get more details about this site for sale, this affiliate site for sale, the earnings, and all that type of thing. If you're on the listing page on empireflippers.com, you've reviewed the information publicly available, and you want detailed information. You want to know the URL, you want to know the exact niche, you want to know the earnings, the traffic history, access to Google Analytics, all of that. You're going to have to pay a refundable deposit. It's in the top right-hand corner. Click on deposit. Once you pay that refundable deposit, we'll send you over all that information to help you make your buying decision. Again, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.